Hello traders, if you're watching this is going to be my first video on my channel, so thank you so much for being here. My name is Hassan, I'm a full-time day trader and I have been trading for more than 4 years. Today I just want to come out and introduce myself, talk about my trading journey and just to share a lot of experiences that I have had throughout my journey trading with CFD prop firms. I hope what I'm going to share today is going to be useful to you, so yeah, let's get into it. I have been trading for more than 4 years, and out of the 4 years I spent most of my time trading with CFD prop firms, and at my peak I was funded more than $2 million capital, and I was funded across 7 different prop firms, and in my opinion these prop firms are currently the most popular prop firm within the industry, and I will talk about them later in this video, and then I will talk about my experiences dealing with them. And I was also able to pull out more than $120,000 payout from FTMO alone. And just to show you guys the payout stats, not to brag, just for the transparency purposes. Yeah, just to show you my FTMO dashboard. This is my overall reward with FTMO, which is more than 120,000. I did become consistently profitable from mid-May, so this is when I had my first payout from FTMO, and from that point onwards I was consistently requesting payout every single month after month, because at this point I did have a very consistent strategy how I want to trade the market. And at the time I was a swing trader, so I had one ways of trading the market, and I was predominantly trading currency pairs, and I was just trading that strategy, and I was able to pull out pretty much payout every single month during 2025. And so on paper, everything that I have just mentioned sounds great, but in reality, the payout number here supposed to be a lot higher than 120,000, because as I mentioned earlier, at my peak, I was funded more than $2 million, and I was copy trading most of my accounts together. So if I was able to make $120,000 from FTMO, I should be at least, at a minimum, should be just triple or quadruple my results in terms of my payouts. But that didn't happen. That's because once I become a consistently profitable trader, I actually start to have a lot of issues and drama with a lot of prop firms that I basically was funded with, which is something I want to sort of come out and talk about to you guys through this in this video. Let's talk about the prop firms that I was funded with. These are the 7 prop firms that I was funded with in 2025. I had 400,000 max allocation with FTMO. I had 300,000 allocation with FundedNext, and 200,000 with Alpha Capital. 400,000 was EA Market. So I was funded twice with them, and the first time I had two $200,000 account, and the second time I was funded with $400,000 account. And I also had a $100,000 capital with 5%ers and 300,000 with FundingPips. So FundingPips, you can only have 100,000 account, but you can have 3 at the same time as a max allocation. And I also had a $400,000 with BrightFunded. So in total, I had $2.1 million funded. And these are not challenges that I purchased. This is the actual funded account that I had throughout 2025. So, so the idea at the time is because I had a very consistent strategy, and my performance and my outcome were very consistent during 2025. So my goal was that I would be trading FTMO, the same strategy that I was trading, and then I would just copy trade everything together. And the issue here is some of these companies, they don't actually allow you to copy trade, so I have to sort of maneuver my strategy a little bit. FundedNext is the one that doesn't allow to copy trade, but you can copy trade 2 accounts within the same company together, and that's exactly what I did. FundingPips, you can copy trade them, but one of their account has to be the master account. So when I first had my FundingPip account funded, initially I turned one of the FundingPip accounts as a master account. That's how I traded, and I will talk about the experiences with them later in this video. And also Alpha Capital is another one where they use a different brokerage. So because they use a different brokerage, I think they had their own brokerage, where because of that their ticker symbol is actually very different to other companies. So when I copy trade them, it just keeps continuously coming up as error message, so you can't really copy trade them. But beside these 3, every other company you can actually just put in the same copy trader and just trade it at the same time. So that's basically what I did. And after I was able to pass challenges with all of these companies, after I was actually funded, I pretty much had faced issue with every single one of these companies. You know, before I was passing the challenges, they were amazing. Like during the challenge phase, they were very prompt when they're trying to reply my email. The customer service was great, but once you pass the challenges, you kind of become, if anything, more of a liability to this company, which I will talk about them one by one. So I'll start with the FundedNext. This company was a bit of a surprise because initially when I was, before I become a consistently profitable trader, I thought that FundedNext is at least will be at the same level as FTMO, because if you look at the review from this company, or if you listen to other YouTubers who has a big channel who trades profit, they will come out and talk very big about this company. They will actually, there's a lot of YouTube videos out there from big YouTubers that will actually compare FTMO with FundedNext together and talk about their experiences, how good is FundingPip and FundedNext, you know, how well these companies compare to FTMO. But in reality, the situation that I had was that after I got funded with them, when I got to my first payout, when I request the payout, that's when all the issue happened. So first time when I requested a payout, so I remember I requested amount of roughly 20,000. So that 20,000 is between two of my accounts, and also that is also including the performance bonus that they were advertising. So this company has this marketing tool where they said that if you pass the challenges and if you get to your first payout, they will actually pay 15%. I remember it was 15% of the challenge phase 1 and phase 2 performance outcome of the 15% of that. They will add that as a bonus to your initial payout. So at that time, I remember I think my actual payout number was 12,000. However, was a bonus, I think it was around 20,000. So right after I requested, I received an email from them. I'll show it to you guys what they said. So this whole drama just, like the whole drama started as soon as I requested payout. So the first thing that I received was that they sent an email to claim that I was using a expert advisor indicator, so which I had no idea what that is. Okay, so and they were like, oh, you were using this. They were saying that our system detected that you were using this software indicator, which I don't know what that is. So we sort of just keep going back and forth. I have no idea what you're talking about. I execute all of the trades individually by myself. Like I do not use any indicators. All my trades are done by me, and then we kind of keep going back and forth. And at this time, I also did a bit of a research, and I looked at their Trustpilot review. Then I realized a lot of other traders had the similar experiences. People that is not big on social media, traders who doesn't basically have any social media preferences, who pass their challenges and get to their first payout, they will get slammed by the same tactics and to sort of basically reject their payout. So at that point, I was like, holy crap, this company is actually a scam. So I got really annoyed at the time. So basically what happened is they come out, they send me an email. We just keep going back and forth with many different emails. Then the decision was that they basically said, oh, we knew in our system says you were using the indicator, so you are using the indicator. So because of that, what we're going to do is we're going to schedule an interview with you to talk about your trading performance. So I was like, you know what, okay. And then after they have arranged an interview, they sent me another email. Then in the second, so when they arranged that interview, the first thing that they did is they actually removed the performance bonus that I was supposed to have. You know how they were marketing this performance bonus to say if you pass our challenges compared to the other company, you will actually get a performance bonus during the evaluation phase, which that thing just got removed straight away. And then after they removing that, they sent another email. The second email, they said, oh, you were using too much of your margin. Okay, which was so ridiculous. So what margin means is it's different to the risk per trade. So when you're entering a trade, you have your stop loss as a risk. That's the risk. But margin is how much you can allow to trade in your account. So because I was trading multiple different assets, what I had at the time is I had a swing position open up with Swiss franc, and I also went and opened up another position with NQ, which is a completely different market. And because I did that, the margin would actually exceeded like 30%. And so they come back like, we otherwise you only use 30% of your margin, which is completely retarded, because they out there selling an account that is at a $200,000, right? So in their website, they have like $50,000, $100,000, $200,000 account, which is priced at a different price point. So if I spend my money to purchase a $200,000 account, why am I not allowed to use my margin of $200,000 account? If I'm not allowed to use it, why do I spend that money? Why do you allow your other traders to purchase that account? Which is just completely retarded. So they come out with that email, like then they sent that email basically, we're like, oh, you're using too much of your margin, so we're going to remove some of the profit from your payout. And then they just like went in and automatically remove like $8,000 profits from my payout. And it was funny because they sent me shit and they were like, okay, cool. And this was actually pretty common with them as well. If you look out online, you will see other YouTubers. There was another 2 YouTubers actually made a video about it, which is that's actually something quite common that the FundedNext actually do. This is quite a common tactics for them to actually not paying traders basically. So they basically send me shit and they show me a graph to say, okay, cool, you're opening up position with NQ and Forex Fear at the same time, and your margin exceeded certain threshold, so we're going to remove the profit from this trade. But the funny thing is, those 2 trades that I had, the other trade was actually losing position, so I lost like 3,000 from the other position. This position I made like 8 grand, so they removed the position that I made money, and then they remained the position that I actually lost money. So anyway, at this point I was like, wow, this company is a scam, like unbelievable. So I didn't care too much. So, and after that, removing my payouts, removing another $8,000 from my profit, they basically, and then I was waiting for my interview. So then the interview came. I think the interview was their 3rd tactic. So what we're trying to do is they're trying to organize an appointment interview with traders, and the traders who doesn't show up, I think they're just going to automatically straight away remove the last payout that they have. And I did show up to my interview. So what happened during that interview was somebody from their race program jump online. They're like, oh, you're using indicator. I said, I don't. And they said, like, we want to look at your screenshot, your phone. And I showed it to them. I don't have any indicator or any software on my phone. And then they asked me to explain my trade, which I was able to explain it pretty well because, like I said, I traded all the trades by myself, right? And then after that, they couldn't find anything on me. So they were like, all right, that's cool. And then they hang up the call. They did eventually ended up paying me $4,000. I think it was like $4,100 out of the $20,000 that I supposed to get paid. But yeah, that was just a drama from the start to the bottom, right? So after that experience, I was like, yeah, this company is a scam. I don't want to deal with them anymore. So that was kind of like my experience with FundedNext, which is quite disappointing considering that their reputation is actually quite high within the industry and they're actually a very, very popular firm. But yeah, I just want to sort of come out and share that with you guys, and probably don't trade with this company at all. The second company, Alpha Capital, I didn't have a lot of drama with this company. The only thing is that once I was funded, they put me on a risk program straight away, which really annoys me because, again, I was never on a risk program with FTMO, and then people said FTMO is the most strictest firm in the industry, but FTMO never put me on a risk program. And Alpha Capital put me on a risk program, which was annoying. And because I couldn't copy trade with them, so at that point, because I had so many accounts that I was trying to manage, so it gets to a point it's actually distracting me from my trading. So yeah, I didn't put too much focus on Alpha Capital. And then I think I did ended up blowing the account because they had like 1% risk per day. And then that was that. So I didn't have too much of a drama with them. The only thing is I just don't like they putting me on a risk program. The next one is EA Market. EA Market was is quite a funny one because, again, at that time, because I was getting a lot of payout from FTMO, so the only thing that I wanted to focus at the point is I just wanted to grow my account size, right? I want to grow my funded capital size. In that way, I can just try to make more money. So I didn't do too much research with trailing drawdown rules. So the thing about this company, all of their account is a trailing drawdown. So at that time, I was funded twice with them, and I was copy trading them with the FTMO. Then I was just, both time after I funded, I did manage to like basically blow the account before, like while I wasn't blowing my account with other firms because they had a trading drawdown. So which was quite annoying. Trading drawdown is quite difficult to trade because every single time, especially being a swing trader, if you start to make profit from your account, you wanted to start to trade a little bit more aggressively because you actually have that buffer. And when you have an account that has a trading drawdown, you can't actually do that because the risk that you're allowed to have is never going to change, even though you're actually making profit in your account. So anyway, you guys can do a bit more research on trading drawdown. It doesn't make sense. If you have a trading drawdown account, the price of the account should not be the same as a static drawdown account. That was the biggest issue that I had with EA, because I actually ended up spending more money on EA accounts than comparing to FTMO accounts. And FTMO was a static account and they're trading drawdown. So which I will never go back and trade it with them again. And the other issue that I had with them was just this one time that because I was a swing trader, I had a position open on Friday night, and when it comes to Sunday morning, the market, there was a massive gap up in the market. There was a huge gap up where I was able to go to my FTMO account to close that trade in the profit, but that profit did not show in my EA accounts. And at that time I had a big account with them, right? So I emailed them because I was waiting for it, it just didn't show. Then I emailed them like, hey, what's going on here? And they were like, oh yeah, it's a Sunday market, there's fluctuation, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, so basically I think what it is if there was a gap up in the market that your position were in the profit, they just wouldn't allow you to have that. I think that's another thing that they did not really explain with the T's and C's, but I think that's the policy with the company, which is I don't think it's cool. But yeah, that's the story with EA Market. And next one, 5%ers. Again, this company, not a lot of drama. It's just that because this company only allow you to have a $100,000 max allocation, so I didn't care too much. The only thing is that, again, once I passed the challenge, they put me on a risk program, which is, it is what it is. I was really annoyed, but yeah, beside that, I didn't have a lot of drama. It just, yeah. And I think that, sorry, there was one thing. I think the calculation of a daily loss limit is very different to the other company, because again, I was copy trading them, and somehow I breached my account with this company while I wasn't breaching my account with any other company, because I did email them at the time, but they explained me how they calculate their daily drawdown, which is quite weird. I think they will calculate and they will actually consider, even if you have a floating profit in your trades, for example, if you're having a swing trade position where it's running at $5,000 profit and you open this trade 2 days ago, and then today market open, they will consider the top of that floating profit as a level, and then they will actually look at if the trade were going backwards, and they will actually consider that as a loss. Floating, even the floating profit, they would consider as a loss. So even like, because of that, somehow I breached my account. Even my trades were at the running profit, and then because they were calculating the floating profit, and because I was a swing trader, I will hold those trades for many days, and then during these many days there will be a lot of fluctuations, right? And because of that, I was breaching my account somehow, and then that happened to me twice when I was trading with them, and I didn't care too much because I was only allowed to have 100,000 max allocation with them. So yeah, so after I blow the account twice with them, I just didn't want to trade with them again. The next one, FundingPip, I don't want to spend too much time talking about this company because this company is a legit scam. Like you can just do a lot of research, you can look them up quite a lot. Even in 2025, before I was funded 300,000, I kind of already knew that these guys are very shady, because before I was a profitable trader, I actually spent a lot of time, a lot of focus on trading this company, because at that time, in late 2023 and early 2024, FundingPip had a very good reputation, right? If you look at a lot of traders, everyone was talking great about them at the time, and but what happened is, what I noted was that my account was constantly getting, like, every time when I had a trade, and then when the trade were coming close to my stop loss, but not at my stop loss, they would just open up the spread and close your position and make it at a loss. And that happened to me so many times, and even before I was profitable, like in the past, that I kind of noted that, and then I stopped trading with them, and that's why I went to, at the end, in around May 2025, I went to actually purchase a challenge from FTMO, and then I was able to pass it straight away. Then I was like consistently profitable since. But because of that, I kind of always had a bad feeling about FundingPips. And at this time when I funded, I decided to give them another go, because again, they were actually one of the very popular firms in the industry. So I did actually purchase 3 accounts, all got funded. And then when I got funded, I put them as the master account, because their copy trading rule is that you must have their account as a master account. And then when I did that, I remember there was another swing position that I opened up, and it just came close to my stop loss. And then that was not supposed to be, I was not supposed to get stopped out. Then they just stopped me out. And it was so annoying, because like I said, all my other accounts was connected to the FundingPips, and then that trade was a profitable trade, right? And then all my trades got stopped out. And then and after that, I was like, yeah, never to deal with this company again. So yeah, just I would not recommend this company. Somehow they are very popular, they have a very good reputation, but I would not recommend anyone to trade with them. The last one is BrightFunded. So BrightFunded was the last company I sort of added to my addition, because at this point a lot of companies were started to put me into like a risk program, and which is basically once you become profitable, when you become funded, a lot of company was just started to targeting you, right? And at that point I was kind of fed up, so I was like, you know what, I'm going to give one last company a shot. And I went onto profitmatch.com and I did a lot of research, and I was like, okay, BrightFunded at the time had a really good review. And then I purchased like a max funded account challenge with them, and I was able to pass my challenges, and I got funded. So yeah, this is interesting. So when I got funded again, right after I got funded, I was put on the risk program. And then at this point I was really fed up, right? And then because all of my experiences that I had in the past, so when I was actually trading with them, I was trading very cautiously. So I wasn't like, I was paying a lot of attention how much I was risking. So because I did not want to go on a risk program anymore. So after I passed them, because they put me on a risk program, right, I went back and I checked my stats. So this is the email between me and them, right? So the biggest trade that I had, just to explain to you guys, they put me on a risk program, but the biggest loss that I had during my phase 1 and phase 2 throughout the challenges was $2,300, which is 1.1% of my account size, which is a which basically means I was not risking a lot, right? So when they put me on a risk program, I emailed them, I'm like, hey, why am I on the risk program? My largest losing position was 2,300, which was only 1.1% of my account size. Why am I on the risk program? I'm not even risking that much, right? Which just annoyed me. Then I basically sent a lot of email complaining, and then they were sending back, they're like, oh yeah, yeah, so they were like a single trade loss of 1.5. Basically, they're like, oh, we noted that you only lost 1%. Your biggest loss was 1% per trade. However, we're looking at the overall behavior of your trading, and they never explain what is my overall behavior. So they're basically, you're on a risk program, we don't care. And yeah, I was so annoyed. And then after I was put on the risk program, I was still trading very cautiously, because again, that is a $400,000 account, right? So I was able to at one point trade those account up to like $10,000 profits. And then because I haven't hit my payout date yet, so I was still trading them. But because during this time in 2025, I think it was around either October or September, that I was traveling in Asia, and then my time zone was a little bit off. So I have to be aware, like different companies has a different risk program per day. So I did traded this account on that day, and then I did hit my loss of 1,900. So I was like, okay, I'm not going to trade them for the day. And then because I was moving around, I was kind of trading. Sometimes I'll enter position on my phone, and then I accidentally entered a position with them, and I closed it. And then, so I was like exceeding my daily loss limit of 2,000 by a couple of $100. And then they just went straight away, breached my account, right? Those accounts that I had like a lot of profit in between 2 accounts. So they closed my account, they breached it, and they sent me an email. They're like, oh, okay, you violated the trading rules. I'm like, dude, what the hell? I was so annoyed. So I was basically going back and forwards, complaining with them, and I was basically telling them, look, I copy trade all my trade from FTMO. I never was on a risk program with FTMO. Why am I on the risk program with you guys? We're just going back and forwards, having a fight. Reinstatement. So I asked them basically just reinstate my account, because this is not fair. You know, what you put onto me, like, because I explained to them, I'm a swing trader. Like, sometimes when I see a position, I need to have a multiple attempt in order to the first time when I enter the position, it might not be right, I might get stopped out, then I have to have the second chance to attempt it again on the second day, on the same day. So that means sometimes I need to risk a little bit more than 1%. That doesn't mean I'm a risky trader. Every time when I enter a trade, I'm careful with my risk, right? But I'm not, and I explained to them my trading style, that I'm a swing trader. Sometimes I would risk a little bit more. That's why I'm purchasing a $200,000 account, not a $50,000 account. And then we were going back and forth, but basically like they were like, I wouldn't care. They breached my account. And after that, yeah, that was just, this is basically a quick summary of all the experiences that I had with all of these prop firms. So at this point, pretty much, except FTMO, right, none of the company were like, as soon as I was funded, none of the company was out there trying to be fair with me. So pretty much every single company targeted me right off the back, put me on a risk program, try not to pay me. And throughout that experiences, at that point, what I realized is, okay, within the CFD industry, the only company that's reliable, that's tradable, that's actually reasonable is FTMO. Because up to that point, I did not have any issue with FTMO, right? Because again, I started my payout from FTMO, and then I was been trading with FTMO. Then I pretty much copy trade all of them with FTMO. They never put me on a risk program, not once. So, and every single time when I request a payout, there was never a delay as well. So, and at that point, what I decided to do is like, I basically said, okay, I'm not going to be reinvesting more money into challenges. I'm just going to focus on FTMO, because FTMO did have a scaling plan. So this was like towarding to the end of 2025. And I said, look, I'm just going to try to focus on FTMO. I have a $400,000 account, and I'm just going to trade them slowly so I can scale up my capital to 1 million, because their program is the maximum allocation you can have is up to 1 mil. So that was sort of at that time what my focus is, end of 2025 and the start of 2026. And now let's talk about FTMO. So now this is, again, this is a really sad part, because I thought about whether I'm going to make this part, because again, like I said, up to this point, FTMO was the only company that was treating me well. I did not have any issue. And then it was kind of the only company left that I had my trust in, and I thought that I was never going to have any problem with FTMO. I thought I was going to be just a profitable trader, eventually, you know, scale my account up to $1 million. Then eventually, I don't know, they would give me a live account and I'll become a professional trader. So that was what I was hoping for. And then the situation occurred with FTMO in 2026, and which is really, really sad. I'll quickly explain. I'll explain everything in detail. You guys can just make up your mind of what, you know, what was fair and what was not fair. So what happened with FTMO was, so up to this point, close to 2026, like I already generated. So my first account that I funded was in May, and from May to late 2025, I was already able to pull out more than $100,000 payout from FTMO, right? So because of that, I think what happened was they kind of like, they were kind of like focusing on me a little bit, right? I don't know if it was like A booking, B booking, basically because I was still trading a funded account, and funded accounts are demo accounts. So when I was actually making money, it was kind of a liability to the company. So maybe they were actually putting a little bit of focus on my trades. So when it comes to 2026, I'll explain everything in the trade, because it's just a lot easier to explain everything. So again, I was a swing trader, and at that time I was pretty much only trading currencies. So the setup was here. So what happened was, so this was the trade, okay? So anyone traded currencies back in late 2025, 2026, that you will know that in early 2025, there was a massive sell-off in DXY, right? Because of that sell-off, the market was in a mayhem. And then after the sell-off, what I saw was the market was able to sort of reverse back to this point. And then up until this point, my analysis at the time was, okay, I want to long the market, but obviously I can't long it there. So I want to long the market when it comes back. So the market retraced back went to this point. Okay, so when it got to this point, my analysis again, at that point, my trade was, I did a pretty good job because I was able to catch the bottom of this swing. So I entered my initial position somewhere around here, and then my target was the inefficiency from here. So that particular trade idea was, I entered my first position here, and my target is I was aiming my TP was at this level. So as I explained to you guys before, because I'm a swing trader, the way that I trade is once I was able to catch a position throughout the price develop, if the price keep retracing back at a good level, I would always add more into my position. But when I added more position, I will adjust the risk for my first position. So I'll go risk off on my initial position, then I'll add another position, and in that way I will just accumulate my position. Then when it hits my profit target, I will be able to accumulate a lot of profit. Then I can just, it will turn out, even though it's a swing trade, it will turn out to be a pretty big profit. So at that time, for this particular trade, it worked really well in my favor. So what happened was I entered my first position here, and then as you can see, the trade went up, came back, went up, came back, and it just kept doing that. And every time when it did that, I was adding position, because during that time, I think this was like a whole week or 3 to 5 trading days. So I would just pretty much glued to my computer. I was watching how the price develops. So every time when it retraced, this is a 4-hour candle, I would be looking at 5 minutes candle. I'll just start adding position, and if it stopped me out, I'll watch the market. If it come back again, I'll add position again. So I was constantly doing that. And then at one point around here, up to here, I think around at this point, I was able to accumulate about 30 lots. Okay, so 30 lot is actually quite a big position, but bear in mind, when I had 30 lot, my risk was not huge at all, right? Because like I said, my initial position was here, so that was going risk off. And then some of these positions that I added there, it's already at a break even. So when I added the position there, those were like my last position that I added. And I said, you know what, that was like kind of coming close to my target, and I was pretty confident that was going to go to my target. So I said, okay, I'm not going to add any position anymore. I had so much position. So, and I sort of did my calculation at that time. So if this trade hit my target, as you can see, it did hit my target eventually, I was going to pull out $100,000 profit between two accounts, because at that time I was going to have a $60,000 profit per account. So together was like 120,000, and if I request payout, it was going to be close to like $100,000 payout. And this was going to be the largest payout that I was ever going to have, because I never requested $100,000 payout from one trade. And the thing is, I did not get lucky by doing this. Okay, this is the same strategy that I traded throughout 2025 that I was very consistent with, and this is the same strategy that I traded in 2026. So when this trade happened, this is how I trade normally. And then I did not get lucky to be able to pull 100K payout, because like I said, throughout this trade develop, I was in front of my computer every day to looking at how the price was developed, and I was trimming position, adding position. And I worked very, very hard to able to actually accumulate that 30 lots, right? So up to this point, I was happy, because at that point I was thrilled, because I was like, okay, dude, this is going to be 100K payout. I'm done for the year. Oh, of course, I'll be still trading, but this one particular payout just going to basically pay my whole salary for the year. And then what happened was, I think it was a Thursday morning when the market, so because I was trading in Germany, the time zone in Germany is different to elsewhere. So when the market opened in Germany, it was like at night time. So when the market opened in Asia at 11 p.m., I just hear the stop loss noise from my computer. And I was like, all right, what's going on? And then when I went to check my trade, so somehow majority of my position got closed at a loss when they were running out of profit. So I'll show you guys the email. Where was it? Oh, sorry. FTMO slippage. So basically what happened was that somehow majority of my position just automatically got closed, and they got closed at a loss, so when they were running profit. And then the funny thing is, the position that it got closed, it was 40 pips away from the market trading price. Okay, it was not close to anywhere close to where my stop loss is. So, and then after those positions got closed, my running profit was still at 22,000, as you can see here, but those were like my majority of my position. And then I emailed FTMO, I freaked out. I was like, hey, what's going on? Like, there's something, like, there's an system error. Like most of my trades just got automatically closed. Can you check your system? Like, it's not right. And then they email me back. They're like, oh yeah, we have checked your position, blah blah blah. It's just a slippage, and I'm like, at that point we started kind of going back and forth. So I'm like, how could it be a slippage when the market trading price was 40 pips away from the price that it closed me? Like, you cannot get sleeve 40 pips from a trade, right? And then we're just going back and forth, and they were sending some data from the back end, and their explanation is like this: look, these same funded account are demo account. The demo account are different market trading condition to the actual market, so sometimes this will happen. And then I got really pissed off. So at this point, because like I said, those were a humongous position, and this was going to be the biggest trade in my life, right? And then somehow they come out, they close majority of my position, and they close it at a loss. And that was just kind of devastated me. And then second day I got up, yeah, what I'm going to do? I had no idea. So I went and basically closed all of my positions somewhere here. And then, yeah, and then instead of having a $100,000 payout, I still had like, between the two accounts, I still have like 16K payout. And then, but at that point, my mind was not in the right place, because up to this point, as I said, like I worked really hard to become a profitable trader, right? And I always wanted to become a successful funded trader. And I, as I explained before, I attempted all my challenges with a different company, and all of these company was basically just in my experience, they were basically just scams. Like once you become profitable, they limit how much you can make. And then the only company left was FTMO, right? This was the only company that I had my trust in. And after this incident, my mind wasn't in the right place. I was like, wow, like, am I a target to FTMO now? Because I traded pretty profitably. And it still annoyed me because, like I said, at the end, that was a huge trade for me. And that was a trade that was going to define my whole year. And then when they did that, I lost such a big profit of it. And then when I go to request my payout, I was supposed to request 16K payout because it was 8,000 per account. And then somehow I misclicked the button. I carried those 8 grand into my next payout cycle. And after that, like again, when I went back and I traded, my mind just wasn't in the right place. And I just didn't have the trust in the company anymore. So every time when I placed a trade, I would just get freaked out. And I just went into like a really depressed mode. And I just ended up blowing both of my account, and those were $400,000 account. And after I blow those $400,000 accounts, I went into like a panic mode, and then I went to purchase another 2 accounts, and I blow them right away. So I just went in really from a very bear in mind this up to this point I have been traded for more than 3.5 years, and from a very unprofitable trader to become a consistently profitable trader to become a very profitable trader, I worked very hard to achieve that. And once you get there, I guess the struggle that I faced, it wasn't from trading, it was from dealing with problems. You know what I mean? Like the market itself, trading the market itself has already been hard. And imagine you have to come up and deal with all of these drama and a situation with the problems that is basically unfair. So yeah, so up until that incident, it kind of really broke me because, yeah, I worked really, really hard to get there. And that was a lot of effort for me to put into the industry. And I kind of just lost all my trust. And I was in my mind was just not in the right place to trade. And then from that, I took a break because I just wasn't too sure what to do. Like, obviously, I had the choice to go back and trade my personal account. That was an option. But before I did that, I want to take a break just to sort of reprocess of everything that happened to me, because it was very devastating, man, because I worked extremely hard to accumulate $2 million funded capital to be at the level, because throughout your journey, you go on YouTube, you watch other YouTubers, they come on YouTube, they talk about work hard, accumulate your capital, and then once you got $1 million, $2 million, that's the time when you make it. But in reality, that's not true, right? Having $1 million, $2 million capital, it means nothing but struggle, nothing but more drama from the profit. It does not actually help with your trading. And throughout those struggle, again, I don't want to keep going on complaining. The conclusion is, okay, I'm done with the CFD profit. This is it. This is like the end for me. I can either go trade a personal accounts, or I can, up to this point, I kind of want to actually slowly turn into a day trader instead of a swing trader. And in the future, in my channel, I'll start I'll probably explain why I want to become a day trader, because at this point I kind of want to turn into a day trader. So, and what I decided to do is, okay, you know what, I'm going to give a shot in the futures profit, because to me at that point, this is around in March. Futures profit is a lot more transparent. Obviously, there's still a lot of drama happening in the future side, but based on what happened to me on the CFD side, futures profit are a lot more transparent, because they come out and they will tell you straight away, like, hey, once you're funded, this is how much you can trade. There's no such a hidden rule like you can't use your margin, you cannot trade too many contracts. With their rule, it's extremely clear. So, and that's exactly what I wanted. So, yeah. So, but the only thing for me at the time was, obviously I was a swing trader. I can't just use my swing trading strategy into futures trading, because futures trading, one, you have to kind of trade NQ, because trading one contract on a forex pair isn't really profitable, so you kind of have to focus on NQ. Second is, you cannot be a swing trader, you have to become an intraday day trader in order to make profit. So I kind of have to go through the phase of where I redevelop a new strategy, or basically going through this phase where I have to just attempt, try the market and find a consistent way how I want to trade the market. And from March, so from March to June, I was just basically attempting different challenges from different futures company. But at the end, I was able to this point, I think probably around June, I think I finally was able to complete a strategy. Like, I was finally able to define how I want to trade the futures market. And from June onwards, I've been seeing quite a lot of consistent results. So so basically the way I want to trade futures, initially I was sort of like copy trading, because everybody copy trades future account. Then I quickly realized if you copy trade futures account, it is really, really bad, because the way the trading drawdown calculate, the way the amount of contract that you can trade, it's very easy to blow your account, right? So what I decided to in June is, okay, I don't need to copy trade. I just need to have one account to actually make a full-time living. So, and then at that point I had a funded account was top 7. I had a funded account was my funded futures. So I was trading a single account at a time. And then during the June, I had one particular strategy where I was only trading the London session. And in June, from top set alone, I was able to pull out $6,000 payout. And from the my funded futures, this account, as you can see, I had it since late May, and up to late June, I have $12,000. I already requested $2,000 payout from this account, so I have another $12,000 in my account. So I already made more than 14K from one $50,000 account. So yeah, this is basically where I'm at. So after all the drama and situation, I picked myself up again. Now I'm currently sort of trying out my strategies in the futures. And also, I thought of, this might be a really good time for me to start a YouTube channel, because I always wanted to start a channel. And I just feel like at this point in time, I do actually have a lot of information to share with you guys about the CFD profit compared to a lot of other YouTubers, big name YouTubers out there. At the time, I thought all of these YouTubers are pretty legitimate, because they're always coming out and talking big about FundingPips and FundedNext, and they were like, oh yeah, comparing to FTMO, these are the top companies now. But in reality, after me actually getting funded with them and becoming profitable, you realize all of those companies are scam. The only reliable company was FTMO, even though I had a situation with FTMO, but at least throughout my journey, they were the only one that actually paid me $120,000 payout. So so anyway, no more complaining. So at this point, I just want to say, look, I'm going to pursue my journey from the futures trading, and then I want to use this channel to sort of document my journey, to talk about my trades and share some technical analysis, how I read the market, and post more videos. And hopefully that will be very useful to you guys, and hopefully you guys can subscribe and walk me through this journey as well. Thank you.